Hey guys, it's Robin, RsIslandCrafts, and welcome to my craft room. This is my WiP It Wednesday video where I'm going to show you whatever I've been working on in the craft room this week. I am making a little switch up now. I've decided that, I don't know about you guys, but I'm really getting tired of seeing the same knitting projects each week with only a row or two on it because I've just run out of time at the end of the day and I just can't get any knitting done on them. It's becoming very frustrating to me, and I'm sure it's getting quite boring for you guys. So I decided that on the first of the month, I will bring out anything that the long term, I'm too slow, it's taken forever, knitting and crochet type projects, or maybe the hand embroidery and things like that. Those more of a yarny thing. Because yeah, I'm just tired of seeing it every week. It gets discouraging after a while when you feel like you've done a lot on it, and then you look at it and it's like this much. So it's like, whatever. So the first Wednesday of the month, that's today. Today is what, the 5th? So I'm going to show you what I worked on in the yarn department. Oh, got stuck. I am still plugging away on my little celery, what I'm calling my celery dishcloth. Cabbage, lettuce, however you want to look at it. I am into this creamy white light green color. I am at the halfway point right now exactly, and I'm going to go ahead and start decreasing. I am plugging away at the shawl. I mean, we're getting closer to the end, you know? When the ball gets smaller, you must be getting closer to the end. I have put a little bit of it, I put about an inch on it right there, so there's some nice distance on there. This is just straight knitting and purling. This be the wrong side. It's kind of hard to tell when it's just on the needles, but it, as you can see, it has the angle, so it goes out like this, so it's wider at the top and narrower down at the bottom. You guys have seen this before. So I am now at this point. I don't know how many stitches I have on, but it's not that much anymore. It's definitely not the almost 500 stitches I started with. So she's plugging along pretty good. Like I said, it's just all straight. This is the right side, all the purls. Raindrops are all down here. Anything that has to do with yarn, you can go down below to my Ravelry page. There's a link in the description, and it'll show you all the different patterns, where to buy them, where to get them for free, what yarn I'm using if I've already input that. Just a couple more rows. This is where it gets very misleading because I think this is like 4 rows, but it's such a small amount that I am putting on the hat. Still working on the cables and the brioche honeycomb. I'm still plugging away on the tacos. I haven't put any more together. That one was just enough to see how everything looks. And I agree with you guys a lot. The green would look nice and variegated. They are quite thick and long. We'll see how I can work on that. We all agree, well, most of us that have commented agreed that we don't need that many tomatoes on our taco, and everything else looks pretty good. So just keep plugging away at those. So I did start a couple new things. I don't like to take large things like the shawl or complicated things like the hat if I'm going somewhere to sit, whether it's hanging out with the kids or I'm going to the doctor, the pharmacy, wherever I happen to be going, right? It's always good to carry some knitting with you. So I cast on another pair of socks for Robbie George. We are still working with the Mani Petty. This color is Mittens, and it's really interesting because this is the outside of it, so you don't really see what it's going to be like, but the second ball is wound differently, so you can see all the extra dark deep purples and stuff in it. But this is how it's knitting up. I think this is looking really kind of nice. It's been Robbie approved, so he loves anything with colors. He doesn't want anything, he wouldn't want like straight blue socks. Now he does purchase straight black socks because the type of socks that he wears, you can't get them, you know, for working in the restaurant and stuff. They don't come in fun and funky colors. You need to have basically good socks because you're on your feet all night. But when he's wearing his wool socks, he does like to have them be, you know, a little bit more colorful. They don't all need to be super bright, but he does like a little bit of color in his life. The next thing is purely, well, yeah, it's purely self-indulgent. I wanted to do it. It looked like a fun pattern, but I'm going to make a really good explanation of why I should work on this project or have this project available to me. And I know we never need to make excuses to start projects and to work on projects that make us happy, but sometimes it's just nice to explain also your thought process behind it. So this is the Fly True Afghan pattern by Skenanigans. It's a herringbone design, but you do it a little bit differently than some of her other patterns. I've tried working on her, like her zigzag ones, where it was like at the tip of an arrow, or you know what a basic zigzag Afghan looks like. And just the way it was written and stuff, it was too easy to, it was a no-brainer, so you wanted to work on it when you were half tired or half awake, half asleep, didn't really want to do anything. Kind of like scrap sewing, but scrap knitting. But at the same time, there was just enough technique in there that if you mixed it up and forgot to do something or put a decrease or increase in the wrong spot, it totally messed things up. So you guys have seen my mitered square blanket. Now, a lot of times with those, I'll have just a small amount of yarn left over. And it's not quite enough for a square. And I always said, well, I'll just put 2 colors together, no big deal, right? But I have enough scraps right now to keep going with that blanket. And I wanted something that was a little bit going to be easier to work on during the summer so it wasn't too hot. That also used up the little bits of yarn. See, so here's my reasoning behind it. So instead of having it super scrappy, I can keep full-size squares on my miter square, and then I can take the little bits and use it on here. And it's also an Afghan that I'll be able to work on all year round, because you work on it in little strips and columns versus into having that whole giant miter square blanket on my lap when it's 114 degrees out. So I have it here in my little needle protector, my needle protector. Okay, this is the wrong side. Let's fix it over and look at it kind of pretty. And of course, as I'm working on it and it's all wool, it's gonna get, even though it's sock weight, fingering weight yarn, some wool is thinner and thicker than others, so you get kind of wobbly, misshapen. Like this green one, it looks like maybe I increased in a weird spot, but it's just this green is thicker. The blue is a little bit thicker, and then when we get into these, it comes down into the colors. But let's just take a look at these pretty colors. Look at them. I love the blue. I actually love the jewel tones. Now these, as I started it, I wanted a little extra weight down at the bottom of the columns and let them get a little thin and bring in some thicker ones. The balls had a little bit more yarn on it than I thought. So what's gonna happen with this, I knit in my ends, like same thing on my miter square. I knit with 2 yarns together, so I'll have the gray and the green, and I'll double knit. That's how we get these little weird little blurps there that don't bother me at all. And then afterwards, when I'm all done, I give the blanket a good washing. Everything will kind of, not really felt, but it'll slightly felt together, and the ends will be stuck in there, so I can go ahead and trim them off. So I leave all those in. They do get annoying, but that's okay. Now some of these longer ones I'll probably trim. I just didn't have the scissors with me at the moment. But this is the front. This is me getting all confused. So it's gonna lay like this. And then you're going to have, so it's coming down this way. So then the next one, when I knit this column, I'm gonna knit it this way. But you knit the column right into this one as you go. Now, if I want, I can knit them all separately. And then when they're done, I can just go ahead and stitch them together. I can crochet them, slip stitch them, single crochet them. I can whip stitch them. Any way I want, I can go ahead and do it that way. So I can do the columns, or I can go ahead and build off of it. I'm almost thinking I want to do the columns. So like I said, it can become a portable project that I can take anywhere, and it won't be getting too big as we get into the winter. I was thinking I might want to go ahead and add just a little on just to see how it looks, but I can just go ahead and knit another column and just set it right next to it and get the same look. So while the design has you knitting, what you end up doing is you take, this is very common in many Afghans, so it's not like giving away any secret sauce for her design. And anyone can really figure this out. So it is a paid for pattern. If you want all the numbers and the actual directions and the videos and stuff for it, she has all that linked. But what you do is when you're knitting your last stitch on this one, you knit your last stitch on that one and the corresponding stitch on this one together, so it binds it together. I don't mind taking a little whip stitch or a single crochet or something like that, or slip stitch, and working it all up. I might even decide that maybe Well, maybe I want to put something else in between them. So I think I will probably stick with just doing the columns, just so, as I said, it becomes a portable one and something I can keep working on. And it's not going to only get worked on in like January and February because Christmas time is too busy and the summertime is too hot. So a lot of people want to work on their miter squares, but they really just can't because it does become a bit of a project. I'm not going to stop working on that one. I'm going to keep working on it. But in the meantime, when I want to do a little bit of senseless knitting and not really think too much, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. I just grabbed this bag that had the balls in it. Now, several of these are way too big. These are going to actually get moved back over to the other bag. But it was so full of all these little ones that I didn't want to sit there and pick them out and have to deal with all these strings and yarn threads everywhere. So I just left them in there. I'll pull out the small ones and move the big ones over as I go. It's not a big deal. This is one of my Ziploc bags that I've probably had for about 10 years. The best part about starting a new project like this is I haven't done it yet, but I'm definitely going to need a new project bag because this one is not big enough to carry the yarn that I want to keep separated and also the project. Now with my big miter square blanket, I have a bag just for my yarn scraps, and then I have a separate bag for my project. So I might just keep the project in here and just make another one for the little yarn balls. Any excuse to make another bag, I don't need an excuse. Last week's tutorial was the lip balm cozy, I believe. I didn't bring that over. I didn't even think about it. That was the sewing that I did for last week. The other sewing is I had to play with a new pattern. If you follow me on Instagram, you're going to get a peek of whatever I'm working on there before I even show it here. This is the Trixie Pouch, but it's by Zeriano on Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram, the link is down below in the description. I have it linked to hers in the comments below. I linked it, plus there's a link through the little hashtag and everything because they were doing a stitch along. But it's this really sweet pouch. It has this nice little domed look to it. I love that it has the binding all along with the zipper. That's what really attracted me to it. I've been picking up different patterns that have the binding that's added on here. And I thought, I don't know how they do it. It doesn't seem complicated, right? It really isn't. This pouch is actually able to be made by a beginner. They say it's beginner friendly, and I really think it is. I think putting this zipper in, while it took my brain a few minutes to see her little short video in the picture and flip things around to make it work, as I've said many times, there's always that one little bit in a video that I want to see more, and I try to zoom in and I look as close as I can, but there's always that one little bit that I need to help me figure it out. I must be a weirdo because no one else seems to need it, and it's that little trick that I always miss. Either I read the words too fast and I don't see it in the directions, or I don't see it in the video. But I did figure it out, and once you knew, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I can see now. But this is a fully lined and quilted. It does use the little binding strips. This pouch, I don't notice them as much because first of all, I did them in the inside colors, the fabric, but it is tucked away nicely, and it does give the pouch this little bit here. It's not super stiff down there, so it really works for this pouch versus some of the other ones I've done. So this one I did just using my cotton batting, but it does call for you to use this foam. Now the foam, to pick that up at Joann's, is pretty expensive. I can't remember what it was a yard, but it's only like 10 or 17 inches wide, so it's not a lot. And then by the yard, and I want to say it was like $7.99 or $10.99 or some outrageous price in my head. It's pretty expensive for the amount that you need to make bags and such. Now I purchased a yard of it to make a different pattern. I still have enough left over to do that, but to make these, I could only make 4 of them out of that yard. So that kind of raises up your cost, which would then you'd have to transfer into the price of your product and all that. And I don't mind doing that for high quality things, but the final product better look much nicer than what I can do with something else that's less expensive. So this foam, okay, it's nice and it makes everything sturdy, but can you see just how much the quilting kind of makes it really, dig down in? I have my nice little quilting here that I could put really close. I didn't bother doing the cross hatching on this one, just because I think I put my stitches just a little too close and I spent a lot of time quilting it, so I'm like, I'm done, right? And I thought it kind of looked cute with this 30s repo fabric. But then this, yes, it's sturdy. It holds the bag up nicely, but it does weird things to it. Yeah, I don't know. So let me show you what it looks like. Let's move these bags out and have a little chat. This is the foam. It is, let's see. Yeah, so it's about a 1/4 inch thick, right? This was supposed to be, one side was supposed to be fusible, and then the other side was not. So one side with adhesive. So first of all, you got to kind of figure out which side. And you know what, regular stabilizer, you can really feel the bumpies and stuff. You can't feel it on this. So I took a little snipper off and I put it in between some scrap fabric and I pressed it like they said, and I pressed it and I pressed it, and it really didn't adhere to anything, right? So that was crazy. So I was like, okay. And then it's just, I think it's just too thick and poofy, because here's the cotton batting that I like to use. And that's way much thinner. And if I wanted, I really do like the way it kind of holds up nicely. Plus, a lot of people like to be able to, you know, first you have to be able to mail it, right? And you want it to go through the mail. So this isn't too bad. This could still go through the mail and pop back up. This can also. It's almost like the batting gives it this spring load frame to it. So that pops up nicely. But it just seems like too much for this little pouch. I can give this one a nice little press so that it would hold its shape, right? This one, you should have seen it before I even gave it a press. So I gave it a good pressing, so now you've got this double thickness here, and I just don't think it works. I was chatting with some people over on Instagram and stuff, and I kind of agree with them that this works really nicely for larger bags and tote bags and stuff like that. But I think for smaller things like this, maybe for those round tubs, which is what I bought it for, I think that would be fine. But for this project, I think I'm just going to stick with my cotton batting. It's going to keep the cost down for you and I just think it just looks nice. This would be really great though for eyeglass cases and stuff, because it gives it, in the laptop ones, it gives it that extra cushioning so you don't have to worry about it. But if I wanted this to be a little sturdier, I can just go ahead and put either a stabilizer in with the batting or a second layer of my cotton batting, and it would be fine. Because right now I only have a single layer. So if I were to put in a second layer and I would do my stitching, especially if I did my cross hatching, I think it would go ahead and hold it up nicer. So while it has a lot of uses and a lot of people love it, I just don't think this is for my type of stitching. And yes, I had some scraps left over, and you know, the 30s fabric, it wasn't expensive when I purchased it, but it wasn't inexpensive. And I wanted to make sure I had some pretty decent sized scraps that I didn't want to throw away. Now some of you are gonna laugh, but yeah, I did. Well, I still have to take all the threads out from the quilting, but I mean, that's a good size usable piece for the types of scrap projects I use. I want to take all the different scraps from the pouches I make and go ahead and make some of my quilt as you go pouches, or I can also turn it into a crazy one like this and just have a whole bunch of scraps. Many years ago, probably 8 to 10, maybe even more, I picked up a fat quarter bundle from a shop that's no longer in existence. She was selling everything out on eBay, so she gave a little bit of a discount and stuff, but she had these 30s reproduction fabrics, and you guys are thinking I'm crazy because this is definitely not my style of fabrics, but I really love the shades of the colors. I'm not a huge fan of some of the patterns that are on it, but I was thinking that this would be great for a grandmother's flower garden or for a Dresden plate type quilt. I was picturing the ones with the rounded petals and not the pointed ones. I thought that would be really sweet. I just recently saw an EPP pattern that has the little flowers. You make your little flowers instead of like the big Dresdens, and it has just the little rounded tips and everything. It's kind of like a hexagon with rounded petals. It was really pretty. But I haven't used these. I've saved these still, because I saw a lot of fun colors in here that I still liked for other projects. But I was thinking, instead of hoarding it, why don't I go ahead and use it, because I think these pouches just look so cute in this type of fabric. So I decided that since I've already hoarded it for all these years and I haven't made anything, that obviously it's still just tumbling in my head and not screaming to me. So I'm going to go ahead and use it up, because I think it really works well with these pouches. These pouches just need to be that cute little fabric like that. I will make some fun and funky ones, of course, but I think a lot of people do enjoy this type of fabric. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go ahead and use this and make a whole bunch of different projects with it. And then when I do feel called to work with the 30s fabric, I can just go up to the quilt store, Joann's, or order online. And instead of getting fat quarters and only having this amount of a selection, I can just buy 1/8 of a yard or 1/4 of a yard the long way. And I can have much more use of, I can buy more fabric for the same amount of money that I spent on this. And while I'm waiting, I get to play with this stuff. Really, look, I mean, how cute is that, right? I love these purples. The pinks are very pretty. See all the little, what are they? They're little duckies. So yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and work with these now and use them up. So I need to keep moving forward and not hoarding the fabrics I have, just in case I might want to use it later. And in that sense, I do have some already cut out and ready to go. I had foam attached to these, but I just went ahead and took it off because like I said, I was not thrilled with the way this pouch looked with these, but I'm going to go ahead and make these up using the quilt cotton. So here's what I've chosen on the next ones. I have this pretty one for the outside, and then my lining. There's blue bunnies in the wagons. This was the only one, like these type ones, I'm like, I'm not really thrilled with that. I think I put one in here too. I thought, while it does fit into the 30s theme, I just didn't think it was all that. Okay, you know, this one's okay. But I just thought that this wasn't all that appealing with this project. I guess you have to have the plain cream fabrics and stuff like that, right? So then I have the green with the little fuzzy bears and some flowers. And then the red flowers with the red, I think they're fuzzy bears and bunnies on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and work on those this week. We'll just leave this pretty pouch here so we can look at that while I do my rambling and let you know what's been going on this week. Now, before I get too much further, I just want to let all my patrons know that those of you who've been expecting the live stream on this Friday, you have seen the message over on Patreon. And after talking to a few of you, you guys are absolutely right. I had a doctor's appointment on Monday due to his family emergency, not mine. Everything's good here. Well, as good as it's ever going to get, right? They had to reschedule my appointment from Monday till Friday. They had to do it on Friday because of the way my prescriptions run. I'll run out by Friday afternoon, so they didn't have a choice but to do it on Friday. And Friday's my birthday. So let me just mention here that for the majority of my adult birthdays, especially in the last 20 or 30 years or so, well, that would be my adult birthdays, I'm either at the hospital with Rob, I have doctor's appointments for myself, or doctor's appointments for the kids. I very seldom have a birthday that is just free and clear to do whatever I want. I always end up having to do something. It's always the strangest things. I'm always surprised at how many times I have doctor's appointments scheduled on birthdays. It's crazy. But since they rescheduled it from Monday till Friday, that had to bump the live stream because the doctor's appointment was right around the same time as the live stream. So long story, after talking to you guys are absolutely right. There's no sense rushing to the doctor's appointment, headed out to the pharmacy, running around and doing whatever I have to, trying to get home in time to not have too late of a live stream for all of you people that are over in the international people. And I would just be too frazzled and not relaxed enough to enjoy it. So I am going to go ahead and just bump it. And we're not doing it on my birthday, even though I tried really hard. We're going to do it Sunday morning, the 9th of February at 11 a.m. So if anyone's curious about Patreon, there's a link down below just with every other information you might need. Just look in the little drop box in the description below. And there's explanation videos and everything over there. But we are doing monthly live streams over there right now, and we will be getting to them over here on YouTube. But for now, I'm just starting to dip my toes in the water in a bit of a smaller audience where it's a little bit more It's very, I guess you could really just call it like an intimate setting over there, because it's just a few groups of friends. There's not 18,000 of us. And let me tell you guys, over 18,000 subscribers. You guys are awesome. I'm just always surprised every month when I see that total going up and up and up. I'm at like almost, I think I'm 18,600 and something or another. That is so exciting. I really would love to hit 25,000 subscribers by the end of the year, or at least 20 would make me very thrilled. How exciting would that be? So over on Patreon, it's not 18,000 of us, even though that would be a very crazy live stream. I'm sure those people with 1 million subscribers get that many people, like Hercules Candies and stuff. They get a lot of people on their live streams. I couldn't handle it. The comments and stuff would scroll so fast you can't keep up. Anyway, this is my rambling day. You guys know that. Some of you like it. The rest of you have already turned off by now, so it's okay. But since I've opened up that can of worms about subscribers, one, we are going to be doing, I'm going to be holding a giveaway when I do hit 20,000 subscribers. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, but we have plenty of time before we hit that. But I did want to mention that once again, in the December-January timeframe, YouTube has gone through and cleaned up all of the subscribers again. So while you think you might be subscribed to my channel, you might want to double check, because sometimes even though you're watching all of my videos every week, you're not actually subscribed anymore. The analytics will tell a lot of the YouTubers, it's not like just small channels, it's a lot of the bigger channels too, that like 60% of the people that watch your channel aren't subscribed. Now, when you come to a crafting channel, that's perfectly normal and common, because maybe you're going to come in real quick. Oh, lip balm cozy, I need to make one of those. Oh, look, this lady's got one. Let me watch it. I'll go make it. And then they never come back. So you'll see people watching your videos, but they're not subscribed. So that's really quite common and not surprising at all, right? But I've noticed even for myself, sometimes I'll be like, hey, I haven't seen Robin put up a video in a while. I wonder if there's something going on. Is she sick? Has she got a family emergency? And I'll go over to the channel and I'll see, wow, I'm not subscribed anymore and I missed 6 videos. So it's a good idea to subscribe and ring the notification. Sometimes clicking the little bell and hitting all notifications will save you from being unsubscribed. Sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what their algorithm is and how they figure it out, but it's crazy. I have gotten a few messages and I've received a few comments that, we're so glad you're back, we missed watching your videos, and it's probably because they were unsubscribed. So any of your favorite channels, check mine first, please. Then check all your other people to make sure that as you're watching the videos that this is the way I do it, is when I'm watching the video, as soon as I turn it on, before I watch it a lot on my phone, so before I make it bigger, or on my tablet, I make it larger to see it in full screen, I check and I hit the like button, and then I just look straight across and I make sure I'm subscribed. So at least if I'm watching those videos, I know I'm still subscribed. And also if I click the like button, one, it's nice for the channel because it helps them to be broadcasted more. YouTube will, if you like it or dislike it, however you want to do it, and leave comments, YouTube will say, oh, this person is liked by so many people. Let's push it out to other people so that new friends can come over and hang out with us. And for us, it's really beneficial because when new friends mean new ideas and they can help us out. Like with this whole foam thing, they can say, Robin, just buy this other kind of foam. This brand is better. What you bought is no good. What did I buy? I bought Pellon. The Pellon one side fusible, because that's what they had at Joann's. I heard there's one by Annie's or something that's supposed to be really good, but you have to order it by mail and everything, so I just grabbed it when I was at Joann's to test it out. But that's just another good reason to bring new blood into our community like that. Plus, it's more people to chat with, and we all like to chat. Y'all know I do. So let's see, what else has happened in Robin's world this week? When I told you last week to excuse my voice, it's being raspy and stuff because of my allergies, well, yeah, I ended up with a massive sinus infection. I have never been in so much pain in my life. I've gotten sinus infections over the years. My allergies, I have year-long allergies here in Florida. My allergist, I did 2 years of allergy shots, so I'm actually better than I used to be because my eyes aren't all swollen shut and I can actually see. So those 2 years of allergy shots really helped. I couldn't do the full 5 years because of my asthma, because each month the shots, each week the shots just kept getting stronger and stronger, and it kept giving me asthma attacks, so it wasn't healthy for me to do it anymore. But at least I'm a little bit better under control. But I ended up having to go into the walk-in clinic to get a whole bunch of prescriptions because, like I said, my jaw, my hair, I've been calling it like the head flu, when your whole head is achy and the roots of your hair hurt, the tips of your hair hurt, every part of you hurts, your ears, your neck, your jaw. It was just incredible. I'm feeling better. I'm on the mend. Not 100% yet, but I'm getting there. The car is finally all fixed. It was a big hassle for me and for the people that were working on it, the mechanics. Apparently, it's a special part. It's supposed to be a one unit for the anti-lock brake systems that needed to be replaced, but it's part of the brake system and then a pump that goes with it. So you had to order this from here and this from here. Then you had to send it over to there and get it calibrated so that they know each other and work well together. Then you had to wait for it to get mailed back, for numbers to be entered somewhere, and then sent to the mechanics for them to put it in the car. It was an expedited order, and yet it still took a week and a half to come in because of all that rigmarole. And then we always had a plaque growing up about Murphy's Law and how if something is going to get screwed up, it's going to get screwed up for you type thing. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that and probably deal with it also. But Murphy's Law has always been rampant in both my family and Rob's, so you put us together and, you're in trouble. So the manager of the mechanic place that was ordering all the parts and taking care of all this for me and dealing with all my annoying phone calls were like, hey, dude, where's the part? Come on, I need to get my car fixed. I like to actually drive around town and do things. I find brakes are pretty important when you're basically living in like a highly trafficked city life here. I'm not like Miami or anything, but we do have loads of bumper-to-bumper traffic, and they said it's safe to drive your car as long as you don't slam on your brakes, because then your brakes might not engage and you might not stop. And I've noticed, I thought it was my imagination, but with everything going on with Rob, I just thought, well, maybe I'm not paying attention when I'm driving, but I noticed the brakes weren't as nice as I'm used to in other vehicles. So I thought maybe there's just something weird about this car. I don't drive it a lot. I need to get used to it. No, it was the parts were going bad. The car always stopped and everything, but I always felt a little nervous that it wasn't going to stop in time. So like, yeah, go ahead and drive all you want. It's no big deal. Just don't slam on your brakes. And I thought, dude, we live in a town where kids run across the road. There's bicycles. There's people that as you're driving down the road, they swerve in front of you. And you could be doing 80 or 90 miles going on the freeway and a car in front of you will just stop. You have to slam on your brakes. There's no way you can drive around town without slamming on your brakes. So I have been pretty much stranded at home, and I've been only going to like the grocery store that I can take back neighborhood roads to get to, so I know that I'm not going to hurt myself, my vehicle, or anyone else, because that would be really scary. So here's the thing. He says, as an example, I don't know if this was exactly the months he said or however, but all the cars, mine's a 2015, all the vehicles that were manufactured in January had a recall on this part. All the vehicles that were manufactured in March had a recall on this part. Guess when my car was made? Ding, ding, ding. Yep, February. No recalls on the February cars. He said it's the craziest thing. He's never heard anything where an entire year of vehicles have been recalled except for the 1 month. And there, Murphy's Law. That's how it goes. But he was really great. I ended up with a very large discount. I'm not sure how he pulled it off, but whatever he did, it was great. So it allowed me to buy myself. The whole point of this story is I can drive my car, and I was able to make an amazing purchase. I found a really good deal on some batting online, and I was able to buy a queen's, like the queen size, so the width-wise, by the 90 feet. Is it 90 yards? Is that how they do it? Yeah, so it's whatever a queen size quilt is by 90 yards. I bought one of those giant rolls of my cotton batting that I love so much. So it's so exciting. I'm recording this on Monday. Before you ever see this, I'm going to have that giant roll of batting. And yeah, the rolls are usually, however wide. I bought king size before, and the boxes were almost as tall as I am, just by the way they fold them and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. I can start working on all the quilts. I can work on the quilts for the shop. I can work on the quilts for donation. I can work on anything I want, including all of these pouches. I am just waiting for that batting to come in because I don't want to take the ones that I've already set aside for smaller pouches and try to sew them all together when I know I've got this giant roll coming in today. Happy birthday to Mama. So I hope you guys, if you had any frustrations this week, that your week is going better now. I hope anyone that's not feeling good is also feeling better now, because this is that terrible time of the year when I went out once. I went out one day to go grocery shopping. Now I think I went to 5 stores, post office, and 4 or 5 stores, and then, you know, within 3 days I'm sick. So it's really hard to... The lady at the clinic, she's like, you should just wear a mask wherever you go. She says, you don't leave your house enough to be around other people that have germs, because it's like when you first send your kid to kindergarten and they're not around a whole bunch of kids before, that they're always sick for the whole first year of school because their body's not used to all those germs. I said, yeah, I totally get it. So we'll see. I think the solution to that just means I need to get out more, right? But the more you get out, the less sewing you get to do. So I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. Patrons, don't forget to go ahead and check out that post. Change the date on your calendar. We are going to get together Sunday, February 9th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to work on some type of a project. I have a post over on Patreon, or you can leave suggestions down here. We already have one suggestion to work on the vinyl bags because that's a high possibility. I just need to make sure I have time to make one this week to remind myself how I put them together, because there's no directions and pattern out there. It's just the way I put them together. So if that's something you're interested in, just go ahead and let me know down here in the comments, so you don't even have to worry about going over to Patreon. Just to know that we're going to be Sunday, 11 a.m. I have rambled in your ear long enough now. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you on Friday with whatever tutorial I seem to come up with by then. Have a great time. See you later. Bye.